Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fifth weekend of the learning in collaboration with Redis Labs and Pune Developers Community. This is Mohammad Farhan Memon, and today we will be learning about Redis Insight. Okay, this is a very handy UI tool. Okay, GUI provided by Redis Labs to not only visualize your data into Redis, but also a lot of insights into your data. As the name suggests, in terms of memory management, throughput, optimizations, recommendations, and a lot of things we will go through, of course. And just before starting, I just wanted to introduce myself. I currently work as a senior software engineer in a retail e-commerce firm, and we work on a lot of technologies like Ruby on Rails, Python, Java, Spring Boot, right? And Redis, of course, and Redis we have been using in our company at multiple levels or throughout my career rather. And besides cache, we have been implementing small use cases or apps using Redis, like leaderboards, Redis search, right? Which is a module built over Redis. So a very handy NoSQL data store, right? And without much ado, let's just start with Redis Insight. So when you say Redis Insight, right, as I mentioned, it's a GUI tool, right? And we will start off by how to install it. So very simple. It's as like double click install stuff. So you can go to the landing page of Redis Insights. Here, you can select your operating system, and it supports all the major three platforms. All right. If you're using Windows, Mac, Linux. Okay, I use Linux. You can say download. You can enter your details. Okay, and a zip will be downloaded. Okay, I'll just show you what does it include. Okay, so basically it just includes a script. Okay, it's a executable script file. I'll open it maybe with Sublime to just show you the contents. It's tedious. Yep. So this is basically executable, shell script file, binary file, which you can just run. So to run that, you must be aware of these // command. Okay, I'll just zoom in so that you people can see, right? As I mentioned, it's an executable file, all right? And what you can do is you can just do Redis inside and you do script, all right? And in the logs, you can see that it started a web server, all right? And this is your local host web address, okay? It works on 8001 port, all right? And it has completed initialization. So we can just go on to that address and you can see. Okay, so this is your landing page. All right, it already detected the local host Redis instance which is running already on my machine. Okay, you can also connect your own database, which is on either cloud. Okay, using like you can provide your own name for recognition, the host for the Redis instance, the port, username, and password. Okay, either you wanted to use TLS or not for authentication. All right, and you can just say add Redis database. All right. Besides that, you can also connect databases on Redis Enterprise or Enterprise Cloud, or maybe Elastic Cache. Okay, the AWS instances which are which Elastic Cache is nothing but optimized Redis, right? And besides that, you can also opt for enterprise cloud account from here itself, where you will get $100 worth credits, okay, for sign up, and you can use that for your experimentations or or production needs for trial. So yeah, so my local setup is already done here. All right, and when you click on that, this is the overview or dashboard for the RedisInsight. All right. Okay, it is showing me that 5 MB of memory is already used. There are total 11 keys. Okay, one connected client, which is this client itself. Okay, the Redis Insight client. All right. Now, those of you who have already who are already familiar with Redis, they know that Redis comes with its own CLI, Redis Insight. Can you say ping hello world? It just returns hello world, right? Or maybe ping pong. Okay, very famous command to just check your connection with the Redis server, right? Since now this is another client for Redis server, right? So it has been automatically detected real time that now there are two Redis clients, two clients connected to the Redis database, right? And there are other graphs as well where the client got connected. It's 10/7/36, very precise. Okay, within seconds, it picks up and it gives you the chart, the memories, total keys. You know, you can also look at the Redis clients list down below. All right, and it will tell you what is the host address. This is the server address, right? One client name is Redis Insight. Second is the terminal, which doesn't have any name per se, right? And the last command which was executed was ping. So, and it has been idle for 64, 66 milliseconds, seconds, right? And if you want to just cancel it from here, the access, you can do it as well. This is a client list configuration, and it is very useful in case of if it's a cloud instance and you want to see how many applications or how many clients are connected to your Redis server, right? And it will give you the whole list of those clients with their IP addresses and port numbers which they are connected to, which commands they are running, what is their idle state, since it also tells you the age, how long it has been connected, and etc. Okay. So moving on with the configuration part, right? You must be aware with the configuration file, the common usual configuration, right, which resides in vim etc redis conf, right? So this is the configuration file, all right, where you can configure Redis server. Okay, it includes all those parameters and default values which are needed to start your Redis server, right? Max clients, for example, how many clients can connect uh, to your Redis server. The default is 10,000, right? Memory usage limits, policy, memory policy, uh, no eviction policy. It won't evict on itself automatically. It is all given in the form of on file, right? And this is kind of was being used so far. But with the help of Redis Insight, what you can do is you can just go to the configuration menu, okay, in your Redis Insight. All those properties and all those configuration options are available here. And this is much more presentable because you can not only configure them, but also look at the details, what does that mean? It is telling you that there is a module already loaded on my Redis server. Okay, the Redis graph, it is not a built-in data structure with Redis. Okay, and it is there's a why it is telling you that there's a different module which is loaded into the Redis server, which is Redis graph. Right, and what's the version for it? Then you have network configuration, you have general configuration, right? We'll just see. Let's open it in a suitable editor that is too big, right? Yeah. So for example, just take an example of, say, the port, right? Or maybe the binding address. And you say bind, right? See, the binding address is basically the local IP address, right? And it exactly showing you the same right here. And you can also look at the description. What is the binder? By default, if no bind configuration directories is specified, and etc. You can find the whole description. What is the default value, and what does it do? How does it affect your Redis server instance, and what are the possible values and stuff, right? Similarly, you can see where does your log file resides, where is your PID file, how many databases are there. You can just go change the values. Okay, by default it supports 16 databases ranging from 0 to 15, right? And the default database is database 0, right? All these things can be not only set but also learned. How can you configure exactly your database, uh, or looking at using the GUI, right? What is the directory it's residing in, right? Replication configuration, your cluster management, right? Then max clients, as we saw, the 10,000 default value. Okay, you can go and you can change that in case you want, right? Memory management, lazy freeing, scripting, cluster, okay, cluster related options, Docker related options. Slow log is nothing but your configuration for not logging the slow queries or commands which you think should be highlighted, right? And it has a different dashboard of its own where you can look at that, right? So this is just a configuration where you can log slower than. So basically, it is telling you that what is the execution time in milliseconds. So the current value is 10 seconds, right? Then defragmentation, advanced configurations. So technically, all you could do with this conf file is now represented as in the form of GUI to you using the Redis Insight. Okay, and this is much more easier way, all right, and secure way rather, because you're not directly getting into the Redis instance and and messing around with the uh, permissions, file permissions, and accesses and restart and stuff. We can just provide we can just provide access to this Redis client, and people who are responsible can go and tweak around these configurations as per need, right? So this is exact replica of the Redis conf file, but in a more representable way and more descriptive way we can think of, right? So this was the configuration stuff. Okay, so you can see the list. You can also configure Redis server here, right? Then let's look at the browser. All right. So browser is nothing but you know, as the name suggests, it's you can browse your data, okay, within Redis Insight, within your Redis server. So all the keys that are present in my Redis server currently is basically listed here. All right. So for example, if I want to say look at some key, okay. Rather, let's just create a new key. So for example, we create a new string data key, all right, and we say you know, demo key one, and the value would be, let's say, Redis Insight, all right. You hit enter. So what it has done is basically it has created a new key named demo key one, and what you can do is you can get that key uh, using the get command, okay, and it returns you the value for that particular key, right? Let's refresh this list again. All right, here it is, right? So now it is telling you that it is of string data type. All right, it has a memory, 64 bytes. There's no expiry provided to the list key. All right, you can also go and change value from here. All right, and in case you want to provide an expiry, you can edit that value as well. So -1, it says basically there's no expiry. Okay, in case you want to provide your expiry, you can go and change this value to say 100 seconds. All right, and now the TTL has begun. When now if you refresh it, it will give you the uh, time remaining, time to live, right? And it is constantly decreasing, right? So what will happen at the end of 100 seconds? It will just uh, expire, and that key would be evicted or deleted, right? So it is all it is giving you all those features which you could do uh, using the Redis CLI anyway, but many people are not very comfortable with the terminal with the terminal commands, and especially and what people tend to use is a UI tool, and 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 besides on the terminal you need to know those commands, whereas in the GUI domain you just can browse through all these commands, and you can look into those each of these elements, right? And it's the UX, if you see, it's so much descriptive and self-explanatory that if I would have not told you that there is something called not TTL which already exists, or expiry, you can expire the commands. There's no need, right? You can just go and look at your, oh, there's something called expiration, which says no expiry, meaning that key could be set for expiry, right? So what you would do, you would just go and click it here. So it is as simple as that, finding your own way around of those keys and learning what features or capabilities it can provide, right? So for example, I knew the command persist, right? And what I just did is, instead of persist demo key one. What it ultimately does is it removes the expiry TTL on that particular key, and now it will be persisted depending on your eviction policy and stuff like that, right? So technically it removes the expiry time. So as soon as I did it here, same thing is reflected, and it is now showing there's no expiry to this particular key, right? So in the background, it obviously does the same thing, but you don't need to worry about those commands and how does it function, right? You just say, okay, no expiry, I want to set an expiry, you set some value in seconds. In case you don't want to set it, it tells you that as well, right? Negative value will currently it is set to -1. Negative value will delete the key. I think there's something misprinted here. All right. So what it basically means is when the value is -1, it means that the value, that particular key will not be deleted. All right. It is persisted. So yeah, so that was a quick intro to the key value expiry browser. Okay, similarly you can view other, this is something we use for our applications. We use Sidekick, it uses Redis internally, and you can see all those objects, what classes it does it belong to, what are the data types. For example, now GitHub, this is another demo application I was working on, and you can see that this is a hash. Okay, hash data type, and senior full stack engineer, the value is 1. Okay, so these are key value pairs, right? Then we have streams. Okay, so streams is a complex data structure. So what it is showing is this is a stream key, and you can directly go to the stream part of the stream module directly, right? So we'll get back to that, of course. All right. Then similarly, we have something called Graph module. Okay, Redis Graph. You already saw that there's a Redis Graph module loaded onto the Redis server. So this key belongs to the Redis Graph. So it is just telling you that go to that particular tool. All right, and it landed you there. So the browser is technically like your file browser, file explorer, and it gives you a very detailed look into your not only into your database but also to those keys, values, what data type it is, what is the structure, the schema, right? And you can change the database. Since we had 16 databases possible, right? It is giving you the option to switch from 0 to 15, right? And the default is 0. There are no keys in any other databases, right? And not only that, you can also add a key from here itself, right? So it is giving you an option what type of key do you want to set, right? Is it a hash? It is a list, set, sorted set, string, or JSON. All right. So in case you wanted to set a different key, for example, the way we set the string key, right? Set key value pairs, and these are the options, right? Key value expiration you want to set during nxxx. Okay, so there are a lot of things happening. There are optional fields, there are compulsory fields, and again, as I mentioned, you need to know these commands and these options to work with. So instead of that, what you can just do is you can go and say I want to set a string key. Okay, and it will just directly give you the option of key value. Okay, what is the key? Say demo key 2, and value would be uh, demo value 2. and it has been created. All right. Similarly, you want to set a hash key, then it will tell you what is the name of the key, then key value pairs. All right. So instead of for JSON, it will provide a JSON object. So it is as simple as you're working on the you're just submitting a form, right? So moving on to the CLI part of it, right? Now Redis CLI already exists, right? What we were using so far was Redis CLI. And what they have done is for for non-trivial cases where the commands, you're kind of a more technical person and you want to deal with RedisInsight. It doesn't restrict you with just the forms. Okay, there are a lot of areas where you exactly need to that what you exactly want to do, and you have the exact query for that, and instead of looking around for those options and non-trivial cases where you want to write a complex query or complex command and it is not supported by the RedisInsight, it provides the same Redis CLI function or the interface on RedisInsight itself. Okay, it is the same CLI, but with much better again, in terms of UI, UX, and description. So the moment you start writing a command, right, thing, it recognized, it detected that it is a command, and suddenly it is giving you all those descriptions and documentation related to that. It is tagged under connection. It pings the server whether the server is working or not, right? And you can also pass a message, which is a optional argument. Okay, so message is not a compulsory argument; it is an optional argument, right? In case you want to learn more about ping, you can go to the documentation site, right? It has all those redirections and the documentation worked out for you already, right? The moment we didn't provide any message here, so it returned Pong. But in case you want to pass any message, it will return that message directly. All right. Similarly, we used set command, right? So now it is telling you that it has to have 4 arguments, out of which 2 are required and 2 are optional. Okay, key and value are compulsory fields, and whereas expiration and condition are like the optional arguments. All right, and if you notice, right, it also highlights the uh, the option or the argument you're working with. For example, I'm writing the key, right? I'm defining a key. So it has already highlighted with the blue saying, okay, what you're doing right now is defining a key. So the moment I write key, then I hit space and I start writing value for it. So now it has highlighted value. Now, it is very visual and you can track what arguments you are filling and what is the significance of those arguments. So, the chances of going wrong are practically minimized or zero. Okay. So this is your CLI command provided into the RedisInsight itself. All right. Then you have streams. Okay, streams is another complex data structure provided by the Redis itself. Okay, it's an inbuilt data structure, and we won't be getting into details of what stream is. In case you want to check out, there's already has been a talk done on Redis streams in PDC, and these weekends group. I think it was last weekend or maybe prior to that. You can check out that video, or there are a lot of recommendations, tutorials available stream and how can you use it. But it's technically used for high throughput streaming, and you must be aware of Kafka or RabbitMQ, right? And one of the major famous or practical feature for Redis streams is the consumer groups, where you can provide, when you can create a group of multiple consumers, and what they can do is basically they start consuming those stream data which is provided to that, and it makes sure that none of them receives any duplicates, right? And it not, so for example, if you have a stream coming in for say 1,000 messages a second and you have only one consumer, right? Then your throughput kind of reduces if it's a heavy process, or load taking process. So what you can do is you can increase your number of consumers, and you can process those stream messages parallelly. So for example, if there was sequentially one message per consumer, now what you can do is one message per consumer each. So if you have two consumers parallelly working in the same consumer group, you can process those messages in you know probably half the time it required for one consumer. And that's how you can architect your projects and architect your stream data. But the point here is, using GUI you can just create a new stream. So for example, we say demo stream here, right? ID, we will put star. So star is nothing but it lets the Redis decides to find to define a unique timestamp based ID for each of those data into the Redis stream. All right. You can also provide your own custom ID, but this is for convenience right now. We will just do star, and these are just key value pairs, okay, which we will initialize with. All right. We'll just do K2 P, right? And we say add. So now here you can select which columns you want to see. You want to see only K2, or you want to see both the columns. Basically, these are key value pairs. Okay, it is telling you at what time, to the precision of milliseconds, when it was published on this stream. All right. And for the consumer groups, it will show there's no consumer group created as yet, right? So in case you want to create a consumer group, say demo consumer group, all right, and dollar is not, again, nothing but the initial so dollar signifies that all the undelivered or pending messages in the list will be will start be receiving from here. So it is telling you that there are zero pending messages and there are zero consumers here. All right. So what you can do is we'll open CLI into the next browser, and just a quick command. Okay, you don't need to worry what does it do. uh, we can read about it later, but we'll be using xread group, which is a command for reading from the creating a consumer, or maybe reading the messages from a consumer group. Okay, so again it is giving you the options what are treated as xread group. Return new entries of the stream using the consumer group, right? So we have just created a consumer group, and it is telling you that you should use group, right? And name of the group, which is demo consumer group, demo CG. All right. Count is an optional argument. We will just skip that for the moment. Then you have streams. All right. And you provide the stream name, which is demo stream. All right. And then you provide the name for the consumer you're looking at. Okay, so let's say this is a consumer one. All right, and what will be the starting ID for it? So in case it could be your zero, basically telling you that it start from zero, or you can provide a greater than sign, which means that uh, start from all those messages which are pending. Okay, I think I missed something. Stream ID. All right. So you have to provide the name of the consumer first, and then you have to write the streams now. Okay. So streams, the name of the stream is demo stream and starting. Okay. So it is telling you that there are no, there is no pending messages here. So you can go to the stream data. You can create a new entry for it. Let's say the ID star. Then you can say K1, and this is a different value to it. You can say add. Okay. So now you can see here timestamp based sorted, that earlier it was K1 V1 K2 V2, then now we didn't provide any value for K2 and it is value 1, right? And when we pass this, it is returning the messages. All right. So now when you look at the consumer groups and you go for the consumers, now it is showing you that there is one consumer connected and there's one pending message. Okay. So it is showing message pending even after reading this, because there's a logic to it that either you have to acknowledge or claim that message to remove it from the PEL. Okay. The pending message, pending entry, and all of that can be done programmatically. But what it does from the dashboard perspective is it gives you the list of consumers, consumer groups, which are existing in your currently accessing your stream or Redis server database, and a quick overview of what's happening behind the screens. Okay, so how many messages are pending, when was the message last delivered. Okay, and all of this is very useful when you don't want to debug any application or any microservice which is not working. And you can look at here and you can see that if one consumer is say broken, and you see that there are a lot of pending messages in that uh, consumer group, then you will realize that something wrong with that consumer and you'll start to debug that application. Then moving on with Redis Graph. Again, Redis Graph is uh, a module built on Redis server or Redis as a database. Okay, and what it does is technically it uh, works on graph theory and it uses property graph. All right. If you are very familiar with graph databases, so it's a native graph database. And in case you want to learn more, I there was a talk uh, like 2 weeks ago, and you can find it into either the meetup group or on YouTube, the recording of the same, where I explain what Redis Graph is and how can you use that, various commands. You can learn more about that, right? But quickly, for now, I have created two graphs for you already. Okay, one is MotoGP and GOT demo. Okay, Game of Thrones. And what you can do here is, let's just see a query which you can run to CLI. All right. So let's say you want to see all those matching, all, or you want to see all the nodes and edges for that particular graph. So what you would do is basically you would say graph dot query, okay, the key, which is GP, okay, and then you would provide the query, okay. So it is returning you all the entries, labels, how many riders, what is the property of that, and whether it's a edge or is it a label, all these things are returned. But I understand this is uh, not exactly how do you imagine, right? When you say graph, you have to visualize it in terms of nodes and edges, right? And also this is a very limited graph, and in case there are thousands or lakhs of records, then you are kind of very lost into what database is, and you can the schema of it and stuff like that. So what Redis Insight provides is a very beautiful UI. Okay, what you can do is you can just select that particular database, right, and you would write the same command here, and you would say execute. Okay, now you can see how visually good this looks, and you can zoom in and you can hover on these okay, and it is telling you that it is Danny Pedrosa. Okay, it belongs to the team Honda, then Yamaha, Valentino Rossi. Okay, so there are three teams, three rides. Okay, so rides are nothing but the edges. You can figure out from the arrow, and there are three riders. Okay, three teams, three riders, and three edges connecting each of them. Okay, this is the graph view. You can also have a tabular view where you can have n returning those nodes, right? And you can also export that in terms of JSON or image, whatever you want, right? So very visual. This is honestly speaking one of my favorite features of Redis Insight, because you can't really figure out using the CLI what is the relation between them, and how things look in terms of relations, right? And just to give you a quick example of how powerful this tool is, okay, we will run the same command on the Game of Thrones dataset, which I already have. Again, if you look at my previous video for graph, Redis graph, you will figure out what it is. But in the this is a data set for Game of Thrones, where you have a list of all those characters, houses, and the relations between, whether it's a founder of that house or a sworn member of that house, and all those details are provided in that. So here you can see how quickly it loaded. There are close to about 3000, actually 3000 plus nodes and edges here, and it took about a couple of seconds to load all of them, in UI. Okay, otherwise the processing speed for this graph database is in milliseconds. Okay, but the UI, the purpose of showing you this is that UI they have built is very smooth and very optimized. Okay, and you can hover on each of these nodes, and you can see at the bottom that it's a house, it has ID this, then the name of the house, these are all properties belonging to that uh, particular node. Okay, it belongs to region Dawn. So there are about close to 3000 plus nodes and edges, and it was quick enough to give you the visualization of the graph. Okay, so more on graph, you can visit YouTube and look at my previous talk. All right. Then similarly, we have other modules, Redis Gears, which is a beta module, where it's nothing but opening the new doors for dynamic real-time processing, where you don't have to worry anything about your infrastructure, right? It's a mixture of serverless cloud functions, and data processing, and it sort of gives you uh, the ability to write a code snippet and assign it to, and you can listen to a stream, you can listen to any values, change in values, and you can create our own module over Redis database, and you can either say you want to log something, right? And it's a third party logger. So you can provide a webhook, you can pass those values there. And it's a very vast topic. All right. Similarly, you have Redis time series, Redis search. All of these are modules. And similarly, as we looked into streams in Redis Graph, they uh, they have a similar functionality and GUI capabilities here. All right. Now, quickly, let's move on to the analyze section of RedisInsight. All right. And this is again a very powerful tool and section, mainly because it is not available in any other Redis Insight. Okay, Redis CLI. Okay, all the other options which we saw can be easily done using Redis CLI or programmatically, right? And these are just GUI alternatives to those commands and features or configurations. But analyze is something which is very unique to Redis Insight. Okay, and it has a very low memory footprint when it analyzes your data and memory. All right, and it gives you the dashboard analysis for what's residing into your database. All right. So for example, let's just refresh the database. Okay. So it is analyzing your data into which is present in your database currently, and formulating the results. All right. So it is a report. It shows when was the report generated. All right. Using the timestamp, and you can also access the old reports. So in case you are working on any optimization strategies, or improving your throughput or database latency, you can always go back, say, into your history and say, okay, yesterday it was it was giving a throughput, or number of keys were that much. Today, what is the number of keys? And you can compare those values, and it helps you in not only optimizing it but also keep a tab on what's happening inside the database, right? So for example, just having a quick look, you can select a database here. The default is DB0, and it is giving you memory breakup by type. Okay, so it is telling you that Z set, which is a sorted set, okay, it is utilizing the most memory, okay, about 17 KB. Then you have sets, then you have list. There are no list data type objects into the Redis server. Then you have hash, all right, which is 3 KB. Then you have string, the least, which is only taking 110 bytes. Okay. Then keys by, again, number of keys. Okay. There is only one key for sorted set, but there are two keys for string and four keys of hash. Okay. Here you can, exactly picture, in spite there are four keys for hash and two keys of string, and only one key for sorted set, the memory utilization for one set, okay, one key of one object is about 17 KB, whereas four keys of hash and plus two keys of string combined is much less than compared to your sorted set. Okay, so here you can clearly picture that either there's a lot of data into sorted set, or something wrong. You can easily visualize, and then you can look into your sorted set data structures. Okay, so now let's say we figured out that there are There's only one key, but it is taking up 17 KB of memory. All right. So what you can do is also, this is a very interesting graph where memory likely to be freed over time. Okay, it is giving you uh, a visualization of how uh, the graph will evolve, or the how your database will evolve in the future, right? So currently there is no expiration set, right? So it is telling you there is no expiry set, but in case there was expiration set for all of those keys, you would get a proper graph saying, how much memory will evict or will be released in, say, next 1 to 4 hours, or 4 to 12 hours, or in 1 month, right? And it's very insightful to realize that how much memory needs are is expected. Can your database, or can your instance hold that uh, data into your database, or you want to look into those expiry again and stuff like that. Okay, so moving on to the key space summary. All right, then you have recommendations. Okay, recommendation, again, very powerful. It is telling you that you should compress your strings before storing them in the Redis. Okay, and this is a configuration option which is available, and you can read about more about that, that if it does it really apply to your uh, database or not. At times it may happen that it's a false positive, and even if it's not false positive, but depending on your business use cases, you might want to do it, or you might want to ignore these recommendations. All right. So and it also tells you the footprint or memory it can save you. All right. All these are very in KB and your bytes. The reason being it's a local database, right? But when you're working with millions of keys or thousands of keys for that matter, this number is very significant, and you really want to look into these recommendations. All right, and they are very helpful to optimize your not only your database but also your billing, right? How can you save on your billing? So next is memory analyzer. Okay, very similar to your overview, but it is a much more detailed analyzer. Okay, the example I told you, right, the 17 KB Z set. Okay, so it is belonging to the key schedule. Okay, and it is of type Z set. The encoding expiry is -1, which means it won't expire, the idle time. All right, and when you go into this, you will get the detailed key value pairs with their scores. Okay, scores are nothing but their priority sorting. Okay, and similarly you can go to, say, GitHub jobs. Okay, or job IDs. Okay, it is a set, and it just holds the member IDs. Okay, so it is a set. It is taking up 3 KB of space. There's no expiry to it. Okay, it is all interrelated, and it is giving you more insights, and it just redirects from memory analyzer. Okay, then we have something called profiler. All right, so profiler, again, what it does is it profiles your current execution time. So what you can do is you can say profile. Okay, and it is profiling, or it is trying to analyze your commands which are being run on the Redis server in real time. Okay, for example, the way we ran the Redis Graph, okay, commands, they were kind of heavy commands, right? In terms of we were fetching all the nodes and edges. So if we rerun the commands, okay, what it did is it executed that command again. So we'll re-execute this command. Okay, and when we come here, when we say stop profiling, it will give you uh, the details or the summary for what commands were executed. Okay, so for example, there was a scan command ran. Okay, here scan is nothing but your listing of the database. So it is telling you that there was one scan command run, then the type command run. Okay, and similarly number of commands. So for each of them, for example, demo key 2, there were number of only one command was ran into in that particular time frame. All right, and it is also telling you that for that particular time frame, only one client was connected to the server. All right. Then what was the throughput and how many commands were processed within that time frame? Okay, 34 seconds. So this will help you profile individual commands and what, so you can figure out that if you're running some service uh, in remote say cloud environment, and you want to analyze what is that impact, okay, and is it affecting your latency, if it's taking too much time and stuff like that, you can profile those commands in real time, and you can access those logs, right, and statuses. Okay, so slow log, as I mentioned earlier, is nothing but it logs the slow queries which are kind of taking time to execute. Okay, so if you see here, it says 20 milliseconds. Okay, it's about 21 milliseconds, where the command is nothing but the craft.bulk upload. So bulk upload is the Game of Thrones Redis graph you saw, right? So this is the to create that nodes and edges. I have a script, a Python script. What it does is it bulk uploads all the characters, books, authors, houses present in the CSV, and it uploads it to the Redis database. Okay, so it is just telling you that this command took more than usual time, of course, because there were about 3,000 plus entries, right, to be made to the graph. So it is just telling you that this command took about 21 milliseconds, and when was it done? Okay, I did it in the today morning, and similarly, this module was loaded into the Redis server, which took about 11 seconds. Okay, so this is logging all those commands which are taking more than usual time, right? And if it's recurring and if it's continuously happening, you can flag those commands, and you can start optimizing that. All right. So, and the threshold time, you can set that in using the configuration available there. And in case your business use case, that 1 second is or maybe 50 milliseconds is okay for me to, for my business use case. So you can do all those configurations as per your business need, and it will log those commands accordingly. All right. So yeah, so I think we covered pretty much all of these options. And one thing which comes out screamingly is that besides providing a UI tool for your usual Redis commands, uh, it the it has done beautifully in terms of for a few modules, like for example Redis Graph, right? It is one of the best implementations of UI. Can access the data, and you can visualize the data. You can run your queries. You can find k-hop queries, and you can say find mutual. For example, if you have a social networking website, right, and you want to find mutual friends among two people, right? And you can run that query using Redis Graph here, and you can visualize how they are connected. You can also find the way LinkedIn shows third degree friend, second, first. So how they are related, depending on your data structure, depending on your schema, you can find all those things visually. Similarly, Redis search streams. Okay, Streams again is a very powerful tool here, because you can visualize and not only visualize but also control your consumer groups and consumers using the streams, right? And analyze, memory analysis and profiling. So again, very important, if you are running your Redis instance on the production and you want to keep a log of what's happening into the database and how you can optimize it, how you can debug slow queries or commands, and what is the size of the data structure, what is the size of the data, if you want to take backup. It also allows you to export your data, uh, either in form of the binary file or in form of JSON. All of that can be done uh, within few clicks and very easily. Even if you don't know, Redis uh, or Redis commands, this could be your starting point to the Redis and Redis database, where you are exploring various commands, you're browsing your database, and your documentation is very neatly built in to those commands, in case you want to learn more and you want to see what other options are provided for that particular command. So it's a very good combination of analysis, profiling, uh, documentation, all into in one place, right? And of course, it not only uh, useful for your local database, but you can connect your remote instances and enterprise instances, and you can look into those insights. So I think that would be the end of this session. All right. And I hope you are excited about Redis Insight. If you already know Redis, then it is a very good tool to start profiling and analyzing your data. And in case you are new to the Redis, then you can visit the documentation there. You can also visit our old, Redis talks, which have been going on since a month or so, actually more than a month. And we have covered topics like Redis streams, Redis graph, Redis data structures. Okay, and in much detail form, and it will give you a quick start or maybe a boost in your Redis learning, right? And besides that, PDC, as I mentioned earlier, Pune Developers Community, there are uh, other useful talks going on based on the other technologies, right? AWS, Docker, Azure, okay, AIML, all right. There are various topics being covered on these top every weekend, okay. And I think daily 2 sessions are hosted, okay. So keep an eye on Meetup group, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to Meetup, PDC channel, and you will get those updates, which new talks are coming up, and you can attend those at home on live. And if you have any questions, you can drop a message here, or you can connect me on LinkedIn. All right. And yeah, so let me just check if we have any questions coming up here. Let me just stop the screen. So yeah, so I think we don't have any questions at the moment. So we can uh, call it done. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting. Keep an eye on other talks which are going on uh, under PDC and Redis. Okay. Keep learning and stay safe. Thank you.